Okay. So with the parable of the talents, this is going to be a foundational cornerstone to this new understanding. So over the next 4 weeks, we're going to come back to it over and over and over again. And you'll probably get tired of it. You'll literally probably get tired of the parable of the talents. But that's how you reprogram the subconscious mind. You reprogram it through repetition. You do it with songs all the time. You probably got a song stuck in your head right now. Why? Because it's repetition. It's repetition. And there are lyrics in some of those songs that actually aren't serving you. But the parable of the talents, once I share with you my perspective of it, I hope that it serves you forever. Every time you hear it, every time you think of it, every time you're in a situation, I hope it changes the way that you move with money. Okay. So in part one, we are going to discuss why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. That's going to be today. And then next week, we're going to get into mind your own business. Mind your own business. In week 3, I'm going to talk about how to multiply money. And then in week 4, we're going to go into receive so that you can give. A lot of people focus on give and you shall receive, but it's actually a cyclical relationship. And if you're not receiving, then it's going to be impossible for you to continue on giving. So all of that will come out of the parable of the talents. Okay. So before we go forward, we need to get aligned on what is money. Okay. What is money? If we said we want more of it, in fact, in chat, on Instagram, on Facebook, on Zoom, go ahead and let me know, how do you define money? What is money? What is money? What is money? Everybody's out here paper chasing this thing, but what is it? Money is energy. Money is access, peace of mind, currency. Money is power, a means of acquiring things, a form of energy, a medium of exchange, flow, asset, a tool. Money is a blessing. Currency is exchange of good, a resource, survival. Okay, so you can see people have different beliefs around money, and it is done unto you as you believe. Okay, not what I tell you to believe. It is done unto you as you believe. And even if you might give lip service to another belief, it will be done unto you as you truly believe in your heart. Not what you say you believe, what you actually believe in your heart. That is how it is done unto you. That's how life responds to you, based on what you truly, deeply believe in your heart and in your subconscious mind. Okay? So I'm going to give you a simple definition of money. This is mine, and I encourage you to continue to explore yours. I define money as stored or potential energy. It is stored or potential energy. Okay. When we talk about the talents in this story, talents are just a weight or a unit of currency. Okay. Used especially in ancient Rome and Greek. Okay. Now, again, money is just stored or potential energy. And so to understand this, I want to go backwards a little bit in history. So let's go back to the barter system. So let's say I'm at the market and I have 200 apples. I have an apple orchard that I've been tending to for years now. Okay. And you have 2 cows that you've been taking care of. Okay. I spent an entire year tending to my orchard so that people could enjoy my big, red, juicy apples. And you were on the other side of town. And over the past year, you were taking care of your cattle. You were feeding them. You were waking up early. You were washing them, milking them, slaughtering them, birthing them. Right. And so we both put energy in terms of time and other resources to bring what we brought to the market. Okay. Now, we bump into each other at the market. You want my apples, but I'm a pescatarian, so I don't want your cow. All right. So normally 200 apples would be the equivalent or a fair exchange for 1 cow. But now we have a dilemma since I'm a pescatarian. You want my apples, but I don't want your cow. In order to give you 50 apples, I don't want to cut up 1/4 of your cow. Then your cow would be dead, right? So since I don't want what you have right now, instead you give me an IOU, a piece of paper that says I owe you the equivalent of 1/4 of a cow, 1/4 of a cow. Okay. And you can use this IOU at a future date and time. Okay. In that moment, money has been created. So there's nothing evil about money. It's just basically an IOU. Money is debt. Based on the way, once we went off the gold standard, money actually became debt to the Federal Reserve. So it is literally an IOU to the Federal Reserve Bank. Okay. And your money is getting more and more worthless every single day. It's like the manna in the Old Testament. If you don't use it, it actually spoils. If you don't use it, it will spoil. Okay. And so you get to take the 50 apples now, all right, which I put energy into to harvest. And now I have a piece of paper representing my energy that I use to produce those apples that I can use with you or in another way in the future. So this piece of paper literally just stored my energy in it. Now, of course, you may have inherited money, right? Let's say you inherited money. That was energy that somebody else used and stored in the paper form. And then once they left in the physical form, in the flesh, they died, they've transferred that energy to you. Okay. So that's how I think about money. Okay. So again, money is just stored or potential energy. That is my definition. I encourage you to go deeper and explore what your definition of money is. So my question to all of you in chat, let me know, if you had more money, would you do more good in the world? If you had more money, would you do more good in the world? Yes or no? Okay. People saying yes. All right. Do you think you would do more good than those at the top who have more money than you right now? Do you think you would do more good than people who are wealthier than you right now? Everybody always talking about, oh, the rappers need to do this and the athletes need to do this and the celebrities need to do this. Always have ideas about what other people should be doing with their money. So you think you must think that you have a better idea what to do with money. Okay, great. So given that, I believe that you should all have a lot of money. If you're going to do more good than you're currently doing with money, and you have great ideas of what to do with money once you have it, I believe that you should have a lot of money, as much as you can humanly handle. Okay? So that's my idea. That's my idea. So now let's get into the scripture. So I'm reading from the English Standard Version. And this space will likely be shorter. Again, as the first time I had to open up, but I don't want to take up too much of your time on a Sunday. This is supposed to be a quick, powerful punch and hit to really just tune you financially, spiritually, and financially at the same time. Okay, so verse 14. For it is actually the kingdom of heaven. Okay, will be like a man going on a journey, who called his servant and entrusted to them his property. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, to another 1, and to each according to his ability. Then he went away. And he who had received the 5 talents went at once and traded with them. And he made 5 talents more. So also he who had 2 talents made 2 talents more. But he who had received the 1 talent went and dug in the ground and hid his master's money. Verse 19. Now, after a long time, the master of those servants came and settled accounts with them. And he who had received the 5 talents came forward, bringing 5 talents more, saying, Master, you delivered me the 5 talents here, and I have made 5 talents more. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over a little. I will set you over much. Enter the joy of your master, or the kingdom of heaven. And he also, who had 2 talents, came forward saying, Master, you delivered me 2 talents here. I've made 2 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful servant. You have been faithful over little. I will set you over much. Enter into the joy of your master. He also, who had received the 1 talent, came forward saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. So I was afraid. And I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. But the master answered him, You wicked and slothful servant. You knew that I reap where I have not sown and gathered where I have scattered no seed. Then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers. And at my coming, I should have received what was mine own and interest. So take the talent and give it to him who has 10 talents. For to everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. And cast the worthless servant into the outer darkness, in that place where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So that is the parable of the talent. That's what we'll be exploring for the next 4 weeks. And so we're going to dig in today to why the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. So this opening scripture used to confuse me when I was younger. It was like, why would those who have more get more? Why would God do that? That doesn't make any sense, right? This master doesn't make any sense. But obviously, that is exactly what has been playing out in society as the wealth gap continues to increase between the rich and the poor. And then there's the middle class in the middle who think that they're rich, but they're really poor in many ways, okay? All of their income is primarily active income. Many of them got hit this past week with the stock market dropping 10% since the beginning of the year due to this coronavirus, right? People are getting hit because most of their income is active income, even if it's high, okay? And so this used to make me angry knowing that my people of color, were typically at the bottom of the totem pole when it comes to American society. And we were literally just getting crumbs from the American pie. And so I used to be angered at this and I didn't understand it, but now I have a new understanding of it, and I'm happy to share that with you. Now, globally, you'll be surprised to know that 2,153 billionaires globally, of the world's billionaires, they have more wealth between them than combined 4.6 billion people. So 2,000 people have more wealth than over half the world's people, okay? In September 2007, a study by the Federal Reserve reported that the top 1% in the United States owned 38.5% of the country's wealth in 2016. 1% owned 38.5% of the wealth, okay? So these are where the wealth gaps come from. What's interesting is that in 1983, lower income people, they had, actually they're not lower income people. It's people who are experiencing lower income, okay? This is like, you don't call somebody a slave. They're not a slave. They were enslaved, okay? So I'm very particular with my language because I know my words have power. Your words have power too. And so correct me if I misspeak ever, okay? You have that right? So people who were experiencing lower income in 1983, they had 7% of America's aggregate wealth. In 2016, according to the Pew research, they only have 4%. Now, here's the middle class that everybody is aspiring to get to. In 1983, people who were experiencing the middle class, they had 32% of America's wealth, aggregate wealth. In 2016, they have 17%. 17%, literally half of what they had in 1983. And so therefore, those who are experiencing the upper income levels, in 1983, they had 60% of wealth in the United States. Today, they have 79%. Or in 2016, they had 79%. It's probably even worse today, okay? So let me just rephrase this in a little bit different way. In 1983, wealth for people experiencing lower income was 12,300. In 2001, it was 20,600. And in 2016, it actually went backwards to 11,300. So people in the lower income brackets, okay, their wealth is actually worse off today than it was in 1983. Middle class, okay, in 1983, they had $102,000 on average in terms of wealth. In 2001, that jumped up to $144,000. But in 2016, it went backwards to $115,000. For the upper class, in 1983, their average wealth was $344,000. In 2001, it actually essentially doubled to $636,000. And in 2016, it has grown even more to $848,000. So this idea of the rich getting richer and the poor getting poorer is accurate. And obviously we had movements like Occupy Wall Street, right, which was targeting the 1%, signs reading the 1% is evil, you don't need all that money, greed kills, eat the rich, all these kind of things. And what's interesting is that, like, for me, I have no beef with Bill Gates. Bill Gates solved a huge problem, and therefore he got wealthy because of it. There's nothing evil about what Bill Gates did. Maybe if he violated monopolistic laws as he was trying to grow and expand Microsoft, but if he didn't, there was no evil behind what Bill Gates was able to create, okay? He just solved a very big problem. So why would I hate Bill Gates, okay? It doesn't make any sense. And so I think the reason that particular movement kind of fell out is because it was targeting the wrong enemy. It was targeting the wrong enemy. Okay. And there's also an incongruence because there are people who were sleeping in Zuccotti Park who would want that wealth. So it was incongruent thoughts. I hate the 1%, but I would love to be in the 1%. That's an incongruent thought. And therefore, that's hard to sustain a movement when deep down inside you want what your quote unquote enemy has. All right. So, of course, then in terms of black people, or not black people, Africans in America, that's the most accurate language I have right now. Some of us say we want reparations. But what's more concerning to me is not the current wealth gap. What's more concerning to me is actually the mental wealth gap. And I'll explain. Even if we hit the reset button, remember like on Nintendo, because in Nintendo, you couldn't save your games, right? So if you were losing and you want to start over, you just press that reset button, right? So even if we were to press the reset button, even if we were playing Monopoly and we're like, let's start over, okay? The wealth gap has gotten too wide. You got all the hotels, you got the boardwalk, et cetera. Let's start all over, okay? Even if we did that right now, right, and we can do that within a twinkling of an eye, we would still see the wealth gap manifest because of the mental wealth gap. Even if everybody started all over with the same exact amount of money, right? Because of the mental wealth gap, you would see the same thing play out and manifest because we create from our mind, right? We create from our level of consciousness. So I'm not negating racism, wage inequality, redlining, predatory lending, nepotism, discrimination, systematic inequality, the prison industrial complex, for-profit student loan debt, bank fees, parking tickets, rent increases. I'm aware of all of that. But even if these things were off the table because of the mental wealth gap, because of our relationship to money, the same thing would unfold and manifest. Okay? So this is why we have to examine our relationship to money and our wealth consciousness. Before we add on new ideas about how to create money, we need to actually subtract our poverty consciousness first. Before we add, we need to subtract. Okay? So let's look at these scriptures. And again, we're talking from the perspective of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer, and we're trying to answer the question, why? So in verse 24, it says, he who also had received the 1 talent came forward, saying, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow and gathering where you scattered no seed. The key word in this particular verse is I knew, okay? I knew is a word of expectation, right? This means that they had a past relationship, that this was an ongoing relationship, that they had worked together in the past. This was not their first time working together, but this may have been the first time of them working in this capacity where he's now giving them talents. We don't know what kind of servant either of them were at that moment in time, but the master was leaving and he left them with talents. So there was an emotional memory. There was an emotional memory that existed prior to this moment, okay? Prior to even getting the talents, there was an emotional memory of his relationship with his master, okay? I knew you to be a hard man. Hard in Greek is skleros, which means harsh, right? As someone who takes life seriously or has a rough or harsh or inhumane, uncivil approach, okay? So he perceived his master as harsh. There are people who see the Old Testament God and they actually bring that Old Testament God into the future, and they see their relationship to God as this person who's writing down all their demerits, all their sins, and going to hold that accountable to them. If that's you, that's okay. No judgment. But I'm just saying it's done unto you as you believe. It is done unto you as you believe, okay? So on a metaphysical level, this man's emotional connection towards his master, his God, his boss, was one of harshness, okay? Now, that was his expectation. And when you have an expectation of something, then it triggers an emotion in you. And then that emotion ends up leading into your experience, which then cycles back into your expectation, which leads to emotion, which leads to experience. So it's a threefold process. Expectation, which is a thought, right? Whether it's true or not, you don't know if it's true. Expectation usually is based on the past. We draw an expectation from the past. We can only have an expectation of what's to come based on our thinking of the past, our past experience of this person, our past experience of this space, our past experience of this restaurant. You go to a restaurant and you have an expectation of it based on your past experience or what you've heard other people's experience by looking at Yelp, right? So now you have a thought, which then shapes your emotion. You may be excited about this restaurant because it's 5 stars, it's got great reviews, right? And then that actually shapes your experience of that restaurant. So it's this threefold process. Now, what we're trying to change for many of us is we're trying to improve our experience of life. And so our only 2 access points to doing that is by either changing our expectation, our thinking about life and how it actually operates. Is it working against me or is it working for me? All things are working together for my good. That is a scripture that I embrace. All things are working together for my good. But if you think that your master, God, is actually working against you and setting traps for you, or the devil is doing that, then that will be your experience. Again, it'll be done unto you as you believe. So when your emotional memory bank is shaping your reality, then your monetary memory bank doesn't mean anything, okay? You have an emotional memory bank. And the question is have you had more negative deposits in that emotional memory bank in terms of your relationship with life and your creator? Or you have more positive deposits? Some of you have insufficient funds right now. And I say that from a place of privilege because I don't feel that I've had anything major or traumatic happen to me. I was held up at gunpoint at the age of 18, but I know that some of you have had some very hard or harsh experiences. I'm talking about raising your siblings, single mom, addiction in your family, car accident, poverty, disease, molestation. I know all of that is present. And those experiences I can 100% see how those experiences could cause you to have a harsh view of God, life, and what you're experiencing. And where you take those expectations and you project them forward. But we can do this. What I'm saying is I'm not negating those experiences in your life. But the same thing that we might be doing with those negative experiences in our life and the expectations that they then create, then the emotions that they create, we can do the same exact thing for the positive experiences that we have. And the only way to get out of that cycle is by actually taking the experiences of life that have been good and actually starting to see the good that is around us, which then becomes an expectation that today I'm going to experience good. Yesterday may have sucked, but today I'm going to experience good. And then you walk out of your door with a smile as opposed to with sadness. And then as you walk out the door with your smile, what that does is it trains your mind to start looking for all the goodness that is actually around you, all the good things that are happening for you on your behalf, not against you. And when I was younger, when I was in college, I worked with foster youth, and the stories that I heard of them and what they had to go through before the age of 18, before their emancipation, it just like will crush your heart. And that cycle, here you have an 18-year-old human being who's had these experiences, and because they haven't mastered their mind yet, but they can, those experiences end up staying with them and carrying on throughout the rest of their adulthood. But there is a way to break free from that, right? So again, if you're not experiencing the life that you desire, we have to change our perspective, our thought, our expectation. Then that changes our emotion. Our emotions are electrons in motion. Your emotions are electrons in motion. They send signals throughout your body, right? And they start to shape and beyond your body, and they start to shape the experience that you desire from life, all right? So here's how we all know that we've fallen victim to this, myself included, okay? How many of you ever said, I thought so? How many of you ever said, I told you so? How many ever said, I knew it? Oh, it's just me? Y'all getting quiet in here. How many ever said, I thought so? I thought so. I knew it. I told you so. You see, when we say those things, what we were really saying is that we had a negative expectation of what was to come. And then what happened? What happened? exactly what we had the negative expectation of actually manifested. Why? Because when you have a negative expectation of something, then your mind and your ego does not want to be wrong about that expectation. And so you start looking for evidence to confirm what your expectation is so that you can be right when it happens. So again, if that is working on the negative principle, how about we use it for the positive things? I knew it. I knew it was going to be a good day. I told you it was going to be an awesome day. I told you I was going to get a raise. I told you they were going to drop the price on that property. I told you he was going to walk over here and say hello. I thought that was going to happen. What if we just took the same power and just switched it over? That would be powerful. But we typically use that in the negative sense. I told you he was going to dog you. I told you she was going to give you an attitude today. Like, we want to be right about something, a wrong experience. Isn't that that's kind of cuckoo, right? We want to be right about a wrong experience. I told you the stock market was going to crash. Like, it's really, really weird. And we got to change that. And that's what's happening here, is because he had an expectation that his master was going to be harsh. Okay. Let me share with you really quickly, given the circumstance, this is exactly how we create an economic recession. Okay. Watch this. We co-create it. Okay. We are all part of this. So individually or collectively, we start thinking, wow, my stock portfolio is going up. This market is on a bull run. This is too good to be true. Just listen to that. This is too good to be true, or it's too true to be good, right? So we start thinking that. So what's the next thought after that is like, this got to end at some point. And I've seen this happen in relationships. People in perfectly good relationships, but get uncomfortable because they believe that something wrong has to happen, that this can't just be good, that it just can't be good indefinitely, that something's got to happen. And so they end up creating a situation that sabotages the relationship. Okay. So we get in this mindset of, this is too good to be true. My stock market portfolio is up 50,000 this year, et cetera. It's been a long time. And then we start hearing whispers in our own head, and we start hearing whispers from other people. Oh yeah, recession is coming, right? How long you been hearing that? 2 years, a recession is coming. It's coming. Yeah, it might be coming. The economy does operate in cycles, but a recession is coming. Recession is coming, right? And then that becomes part of the collective consciousness. And then now you have the TV station saying it. Yeah, recession is pending. And what are we doing? We're looking for all the evidence. Even if 90% of the evidence says that there's no recession coming, what we are magnifying is the 10% of evidence that says it is. Because we want to confirm what we believe in our head. And so now the TV stations, they're saying, recession is coming, recession is coming. Look at this is down, this and that. Then we start manifesting, because now enough of us believe, and we've held that belief for an extended period of time. And so now we manifest something like the coronavirus. We manifest that collectively with our consciousness. Where did it come from before? Was it hiding under a rock somewhere? Where did it come? Where did it come from if it didn't come from our minds? We create that as a manifestation that then creates the experience of recession. So we had an expectation of a recession, right? And then we get into the emotion of fear around that recession, fear and scarcity, and all those things kick in. Then we start manifesting things like the coronavirus collectively. And then what comes? A recession. A recession might be coming for you. It ain't coming for me. And you can know that this does not have to be your reality, because there were many millionaires that were made during the Great Depression. So while the collective consciousness of American society was in a state of scarcity and fear in the Great Depression, there are people who saw abundance even despite the outward conditions. There were people who saw abundance despite the outward conditions, and they were able to capitalize on it. Well, everybody else is fearful and holding on to their money, right? These people said, nope, this is the opportunity to go. Doing the exact opposite. When everybody else is zigging, you zag. Okay? So this is how we manifest with our minds. And so in verse 25, he said, so I was afraid. This is the emotion. Remember, the expectation was that you were harsh. I knew you were harsh. And then he says, I was afraid. That's the emotion. And I went and hid your talent in the ground. Here, you have what is yours. So this is where the emotion kicks in, okay? There's an expectation that you have about something coming up in the future. That expectation is drawn from the past and put into your future, and now it's shaping your feelings in the present moment, okay? So I've seen a couple types of people with fear of money, okay? Having more money does not just erase the fear. I've seen the first type of person that I've seen have fear of money is a person who's literally living on the edge. Some of my tenants here who are on Section 8, like every single day, they are living on the edge. And if it wasn't for Section 8, life would be even harder for them. In fact, one tenant, I let her into the place early because the Section 8 office was taking so long to get her paperwork done, and her and her family basically living on the streets, right? But actually, when I met her, I didn't see fear in her eyes. I didn't see fear in her eyes. I saw a lot of faith that things were going to work out because she's been living on so little for so long, and she works at Burger King. I actually saw faith in her eyes. I didn't sense fear. And I've been around people who have millions of dollars and they reeked with fear. So the amount of money in your bank account doesn't determine how much fear you have. Because when you have no money, for instance, like Jay-Z, for example, you got nothing to lose. So what is there to fear? You're already at the bottom of the barrel. What is there to fear? You might as well just go for it and swing for the fences. Okay? So that's the first type of person that I've seen be fearful around money. Second type of person, because I've been able to coach millionaires, is somebody who has a lot of money, but they don't have a clue how they got it. Through a sequence of career choices, through creating a company, etc., they've been able to step into millions of dollars. But deep down inside, they don't believe that if everything was to go away, that they could replicate that. They have a pile now, but they don't recognize that the source. For me, my source of all my success is my creator and is my spirituality, which is my connection with my creator. I know that. So if I had to go to zero, I'd be able to bounce back. Would there be some hard times? Yeah, there'd be some hard times, but there wouldn't be fear. There wouldn't be fear. I've seen people with a lot actually get into a space of fear and clutching their money because they don't know how they got it. And therefore, they feel like they have to hoard it. Okay? So again, the size of your bank account doesn't determine the fear you have. You could still have a scarcity mindset and have $1 million in your bank account. You could still have a scarcity mindset and have $1 million in your bank account. Okay? So whether you have scarcity or abundance mindset has nothing to do with how much is in your possession. It actually has to do with how much belief you have in yourself and your creator. If you have belief in yourself and your creator, then you will not be in a space of scarcity or fear. You will always have abundance mindset. Okay? So don't be fooled by that number that you see when you log into your online account. Ask yourself, how do I feel? How do I feel? How do I feel when I look at my money? How do I feel when I'm not looking at my money? That's the focus. Okay? So in verse 26, he said, but his master answered him, you wicked and slothful servant. Slothful means lazy. You knew that I reaped where I have not sown and gathered where I have scattered no seeds. Okay? So what he failed to realize in this moment is that his master had sown. His master had sown. He wasn't sowing in terms of actually doing the work. His master had sowed into him and entrusted him with his riches. His master sowed into him. His master wasn't sowing into the ground and planting seed. He sowed into him by empowering him. Okay? You have to recognize, actually, you don't have to. I want to be very clear about this space. I recognize that God is seeking to experience itself as me and through me. God works through his greatest creation, which is man. And by man, I don't mean gender. I mean us as a collective, mankind, man, womankind. Okay? God is working through us as us to experience itself. We experience ourselves through our creations. Okay? God's joy, I believe, is in witnessing. And based on what he said, step into the joy of your master. God's joy is witnessing what you create and how you uniquely create it. We could all get the same ingredients, but because of who we are, we would all create something else. It's like Legos, right? We could all get the same set of Legos, but we would all build something different because of our uniqueness and our unique desires. And I believe that's what brings God joy, is when we create authentically and uniquely according to our specific, unique blueprint. Okay? So in verse 27, then you ought to have invested my money with the bankers, and at my coming I should have received what was my own with interest. Okay? So here, the master juxtaposed what the slothful servant did, right, with putting the money in the bank. Because if he would at least just put it in the bank, basically he was saying, you could at least put my money in a bank so I would have got interest. That's basically what he was saying. You could at least put my money in a bank. You put it in the ground. I've been gone for however long. I could at least have some interest. And so this was not a compliment to the banks. This was not a compliment to the banks. This was actually a criticism of banking. Okay? You have to recognize that putting your money in banks is lazy investing. Some of you have it in the ground. Some of you have it under your mattress. That's the equivalent to putting it in the ground. But with your bank, you know that Bank of America's interest rate right now is 0.03%. It's 0.03%. So that is actually equivalent to putting your money into the ground. Inflation is greater than that. So your money is actually losing money by sitting in a savings account. You thought you were saving and being good, but your money is actually losing money. Right now, you're being a slothful financial servant if you have excess money saved in a bank. Your money is supposed to be out there. The goal is to double it. The good and faithful servants, whether he had 5 to 10 and took 2 to 4, they doubled theirs. And so if you have your money sitting in a bank, you are being a slothful financial servant. And what you know from this story is that he takes the talent from the slothful servant and gives it to those who are actually making that money work. This is a key financial principle. This was not a compliment to the bank. This was saying that banking, putting your money in a savings account, is just above putting it in the ground. But when you come into a financial awareness, you start to realize that there are many different ways you can channel this energy, this stored potential energy, which we call money, to make it work and create, to put it towards ideas, companies, and things that you want, that you believe in. Okay? So God, I believe, a financial principle, wants you to do better than just put your money in a savings account. Okay? Banks are essentially the same today as burying your money. In the past, banks used to give 5% return on your money, etc. Not in today's world. 0.03%. At 0.03%, it'll take you 2,400 years to double your money. 2,400 years. It's called the rule of 72. You take 72 divided by 0.03, right, which was the interest rate, and that's how long it will take you to double your money, 2,400 years. If you were getting a 12% interest rate on that money, 72 divided by 12 is 6. It would take you 6 years to double your money. Okay, this is a financial principle. I want you to write that down. Rule of 72. I'll be teaching financial principles in this way. The rule of 72. So let's say you get an interest rate on, you were letting somebody borrow money at 6% interest. Okay, it'll take you 12 years to double your money. Let's say you're getting a return at 10%. It'll take you 7.2 years to double your money. This is a financial principle that you can use when you're trying to evaluate how long it's going to take you to get the equivalent of your money back. And in this version of the parable of the talents, all of them doubled. Hold on one second. Instagram went off. Give me 1 second, y'all. Are y'all enjoying this so far? Y'all enjoying this? Let me know. Good. All right, cool. So again, that's a financial principle, financial equation, right? It's as solid as the law of gravity, okay? It's as solid as E equals MC squared, okay? And you need to know that. So I'm weaving in these financial principles and equations and laws and actually extracting them from scripture, which has been here for a long, long time, all right? So how many of you ever watched the show Hoarders? How many of you ever watched the show Hoarders? All right. I was so enraptured in that show because I do actually have a hoarder in my family, and I was trying to understand their psychology. But a lot of people just watch it for entertainment, and they say things like, "How could somebody do that? How could somebody just be hoarding all that stuff and have stuff stacked up to the ceilings and have no space to walk and it be dirty like that and things of that nature and things rotting and molding?" And here they are judging when the reality is that we're doing the exact same thing with our money. We're hoarding. You want to know what causes the economy to freeze? Is when people hoard their money. When money stops flowing. Money is called currency, and currency is supposed to have a current. When it's flowing, we all get to experience abundance. But when people have fear, what do? They hold on to their money. The money freezes and it stops flowing. And when you have a body of water where water is not flowing, what happens? Mosquitoes, disease, things of that nature. But when water is flowing, it is clear. It is moving. That's called cash flow. Okay? And so stop judging other people who are hoarding on these shows when you're hoarding money in your bank account. You want to know, you want to really hear something? That person who is hoarding, they're doing more for the economy than you are because at least they bought something. At least they put their money out. They may have no money in their bank account, but it's out there in the world. Whereas you having money stored in a savings account that is yielding 0.03 in interest is doing nothing. It's useless. It's stored potential energy. It is useless until it is used. It is useless until it is used. Okay? So we got to get out of this consciousness of putting our money in savings accounts because savings accounts will not save you. You cannot save your way to wealth. You cannot save your way to wealth. All right? So again, this comes from that fear. He said, I was afraid, and thoughts held in mind produce after their kind. I cannot plant a tomato seed and expect corn. Okay? I cannot plant asparagus and expect to get squash. The thoughts held in our mind, as above, so below, right? The thoughts held in our mind have to produce and manifest accordingly. You can't plant scarcity and reap abundance. It doesn't work that way. As above, so below, okay? As what's in our head, as what's in our heaven, okay? So below is how it manifests on earth, okay? How it manifests in real life in physical form, all right? I stepped into my purpose on January 9th, 2009. It was the bottom of the last economic recession. All the stock market tickers were red. What was it? Home Depot had laid off like thousands of people, things of that nature. Everybody who loved me and cared about me was saying, you shouldn't do this now because you shouldn't be pursuing this purpose thing now because it's not looking too good. And here I am over a decade later with more abundance and more wealth than I could have ever imagined at that moment in time. But I had no fear because that was my faith walk where I had very little money. I'd saved up $18,000, which covered 6 months of living expenses. I saved up $18,000. My living expenses in Brooklyn, New York at that time with rent, food, Metro card, student loans, et cetera, was $3,000 a month. That was it. I had a 6-month runway in the midst of a recession. But I was moving 100% on faith and abundance. And what I found was in order to keep myself from getting captivated by all the scarcity that was happening in the collective consciousness and the race conscious, I had to keep a gratitude journal. And actually, it's here. I actually ended up making this gratitude journal. It's called my thank account. And every day I would deposit millionaire moments into my thank account. I went through 8 of these. Since April 6, 2011, I went through 8 of these, and I deposited about 15,000 moments of gratitude, small moments. Oh man, that tree was so beautiful. I'm so glad my friend called me today. Oh, that meal was absolutely amazing. I'm so grateful for that new restaurant in my neighborhood. So grateful I got paid today by a client and they got a result. I'm looking at some of them here. Finding what is this? I found my missing suit. It was just a beautiful day. The sun was sparkling. I was productive at 2 a.m. I'm going through and telling you these little moments of gratitude. Like when you have an abundance mindset, you actually can see all the things and all the good that is actually happening for you. The slothful servant could only see from a place of scarcity and fear, right? So this is a practice that I do to stay in a space of abundance as opposed to getting into scarcity. And it's coming for y'all. Actually, I shouldn't speak that. A lot of people say a recession is coming. That is the collective or the race consciousness. It does not have to be your consciousness. And one way that you can make sure that it does not slip into your consciousness, because what other people are experiencing does not have to be your experience. To make sure that it doesn't slip in is to make sure you have a habit or a ritual that makes sure you stay in abundance consciousness. All right? So I'll give you another example. How many of you love, I won't say love Elon Musk. How many of you respect Elon Musk? How many respect Elon Musk? Elon Musk, he is doing amazing things. And I want to give you, and I'm giving you this example because he has multiples of the amount of money that I have. Okay. I'm happy with what I have. I love what I have. Okay. I don't love the money. I love what I have because it allows me to give and create. Right. But let me give you this quick story about Elon Musk. When Elon Musk, he got his initial wealth through PayPal. Okay. He said, my proceeds from PayPal, the acquisition by eBay, were $180 million. Okay. That was his proceeds from PayPal. He said, I put 100 million into SpaceX, 70 million into Tesla, and 10 million into Solar City. He put 100 million into SpaceX, 70 million into Tesla, and 10 million into Solar City. When you calculate that, when you add all that up, y'all, guess what? It is $180 million. So basically, this brother, he put everything that he got from PayPal and he put it back out into the world to work. Every last dollar. You want to hear what he said? I had to borrow money for rent. You hear that? I had to borrow money for rent. He didn't just say, oh, I got 180 million. I'm done. I'm out this game. I'm about to go chill, do whatever I got to do. That's enough for a lifetime. He put it all back in to creating a sustainable energy source for us, to create sustainable cars, and try to make sure that if we mess up this planet, that we have a way to get to another planet. Okay? I don't care if you're not a personal fan of him, but in terms of the financial principles that he is demonstrating in his life, he is a great example. So peep gang, you want to know what that $180 million is right now? You want to know what it's worth? Because that was in 2000 and he sold PayPal in 2002. You want to know what that $180 million has turned into by 2019, 17 years later? $23.6 billion. $23.6 billion. He is worth 131 times more than he was at $180 million. This is perhaps one of the greatest demonstrations of the financial principles I'm trying to teach you right now. He didn't say, I'm going to save this, I'm going to live off this for the rest of my life. He said, nope, I'm going to take what I need, only what I need. I'm not even paying for rent. I need to borrow money for rent. I'm putting everything, all of this stored energy into use to create something bigger and better that's actually going to do good in the world. This is one of the greatest demonstrations of this financial principle and this parable in real life. Okay? So the poor stay poor because they say things like, I'm too broke to invest. Right? I'm too broke to invest. You want to know what you need to be saying? Is I invest until I'm broke. That's what Elon Musk essentially did. Not I'm too broke to invest. You say I invest until I'm broke. Y'all can't borrow no money from me. I collected rent today, so I have a little bit of cash on me. Okay? I have a little bit of cash on me. I have a little bit of cash in my bank account. But the rest of my money is all out there in play. It is out there working for me. I don't have no cash. I got an emergency fund and a bank in Los Angeles. That's it. That is it. And from there, that emergency fund and my operating expenses, 2 months of operating expenses, I want all my money to be out and working in use because it's doing me no good sitting in a savings account. That is not where I derive my financial security. My financial security comes from knowing who I am and whose I am. Okay? So the final line of that text says, for to everyone who has been for everyone who has, more will be given, and he will have an abundance. But from one who has not, even what he has will be taken away. For a long time, I didn't understand this. I thought this was God's word saying the rich just gonna get richer. I'm gonna keep blessing the rich people and the poor people just gonna get poorer and poorer. And that's not really what it's saying. What it's saying is, for everyone who has in their mind abundance, more will be given to them in terms of physical manifestation. But for those who have scarcity in their mind, for those who have not, who have scarcity in their mind, even what he has in the material world, the earthly world, it will be taken. People who are in scarcity, they always fear that, oh, this person gonna steal this is gonna be that, and, oh, my bike was stolen, somebody broke into my car, my boss did this, somebody took my job. You hear all of this thing being stolen because their scarcity mindset is co-creating that experience of life. They're having an expectation, it's leading to an emotion. That emotion is sending vibrations in their body and beyond, and it's manifesting as their experience in their reality. So my goal is to help you stay in wealth consciousness and in a state of abundance, because that will attract more things in your life. And when I'm talking about abundance, again, I'm not just talking about money. Abundance is the manifestation and the showing up of all kinds of resources that are going to help you be, do, and have more of the good that you desire. It does not always come in the form of money. Okay? We want money because it is one of the most liquid forms of energy that we can use to go buy access to relationships, to go buy equipment, to go buy this, right? It's one of the most liquid forms, but abundance shows up in every way. And you want to hear something, y'all? God can't give you more than you're willing to receive, but God has given you access to everything already. What's blocking us is that we can't see everything, because our eyes are clouded by scarcity. The more we wipe them away, the more we get rid of that poverty conscious, the more we see what's available to us. Everything that you need to be on the path to becoming a millionaire, if you're not one already, guess what? It's already there around you somewhere. It could be a person in your phone. It could be an online course. It could be a website. It could be a mentor. It could be an event that's coming to a town. It could be a relationship. It could be equity in your home. Everything that you need to get to where you're trying to go, it must be around you somewhere. It's not just going to fall out the sky. It's around you somewhere, but you haven't trained your eyes to see it. This is how a chef can come into a kitchen. Like if I go into my kitchen right now, I can't find anything to eat because my eyes aren't trained in that way. But if a chef comes into my kitchen, they can see all the resources that I have and they can whip up some magical meal. Why? Simply because their eyes are trained around food better than mine are. The same thing is happening in our life. Everything that you need is around you, but your eyes aren't trained enough in an abundance mindset to see how that person can help you, how that piece of information can help you, how that book that's been sitting on your shelf can help you, how that camera that you have can help you, how your phone can help you, how this social media platform can help you. It's all there. God can't give you any more than it's already given you. You just have to learn how to see it so that you can use it. Just ask, where is it? I know it's here. Where is it? When you lose your keys, you know they're in the house somewhere. You might not know where they are in that moment, but you know they're in the house somewhere. And you're going to keep searching until you find them. How many people have ever like just 100% lost a set of keys? Usually it doesn't happen. You may take you long to find it, but when you know that they're in that house, you're going to find them. You're going to find them. So every resource that you need to get to where you're trying to go and create what you're trying to manifest, it's around you somewhere. It could be a person in your phone who knows a person, right? But it's there. You want to start your business? Okay. Have you told everybody who you consciously know that you're starting your business? Oh, but I'm not getting the sales I desire. Have you gone through everybody in your cell phone and let them know that this is the business that you're in? They might not be customers, but have you called them and let them know? All right, then go do that. Go do that. Somebody might know a printer. Somebody might know a manufacturer. Somebody might know a digital marketer. Somebody might know somebody who can finance that. Have you told everybody? Everything is right in front of you, but you just can't see it at this moment in time. Right? So as we retrain our eyes, we start to see, oh man, I've been knowing this person for 10 years and I didn't know that you did that. All right. So this is what the abundance mindset allows us to do. So in conclusion, expectation, right? Our thoughts, which we usually pull from the past, our expectation, and we put it in the future, is our expectations are our thoughts, but they come from the past and we put them in our future. Okay. And those expectations lead to some sort of emotion. We had an experience in the past. It made us feel some kind of way. That's how it got recorded in our body and in our consciousness. Okay. And then we take that same energy based on what happened in the past and we project that and we take that into the future with us. And then that then shapes our experience. You had a bad experience at a restaurant one time. That was your and that becomes your expectation for the next time. But what if you just let that expectation go? What if you said, oh yeah, I went to that restaurant last time. I didn't really like the service or on my dish. What if you said, but I'm willing to try something new this time. Let's go. If you change your expectation, now you aren't carrying the past into your future through emotion. You say you go into this same restaurant, but you come in with a different emotion. You go back to an emotion of curiosity. Oh, I didn't like that last dish, but I wonder what else they have that's good. I'm going to try that other thing that I didn't order or that my friend ordered. You go in with the curiosity. So you take that negative emotion that was carried forward from the past experience and you don't let that become your expectation. You choose a different emotion to take into this same restaurant, but you will have a different experience of the same space. You will have a different experience of the same space. You don't have access. The only points you have access to is changing the expectation and changing your emotion. You can change your expectation by visualizing a better experience of that restaurant. Or you can just change your emotion and say, instead of being mad about what happened last time, I'm going to be curious about what else they have that's going to be good. All right. So when you learn how to save money as a kid, you probably learn to put your money in a savings, a piggy bank, right? How many of you had a piggy bank growing up? How many had a piggy bank growing up? Okay. So your parents were probably proud of you. Oh, look at my baby. She's saving money. He's saving money. Look at him. But based on this parable, we know that a piggy bank did you no good. A piggy bank is equivalent to burying your money. Scripture says, do not give your pearls to swine. Look at this, y'all. Look at this, y'all. Do not give your pearls to swine. What are your pearls? Your pearls are your money. It's your coins that you were getting as a tooth fairy or from your lemonade stand. Right? And what were you putting it? You were putting it in a pig, which is what? Swine. From a child, you were taught to give your pearls to swine. As an adult, we're doing the same thing. Putting your money in a savings account, the pigs, that's swine. You are giving your pearls, this stored energy from the work that you've done or that your parents did or that your grandparents did. Many of us are giving our pearls to swine. We are giving our money to the banks, which are swine. He said, at least you could have put my money in the bank. There was burying your money, and then there was putting it in the bank. There are so many different higher, better uses for this resource that you've been blessed with than just putting it in a bank, okay? Money is stored energy. It has no life unless you use it. It is useless if you do not use it. And what will happen is you will use it or lose it. It does nobody any good, okay, until you've used it. You all said earlier that if you had more money, you would do more good. Well, it's doing no good sitting in a savings account. Yes, is it risky to put it behind an idea that you have, a business that your friend is starting, invested in a stock in a company that you believe in? Yes, there's some risk there. There's a potential of loss. But in a bank account, there's no gain except for your false security. If you would have put a seed in the ground, it would have grown because a seed has life. But money is dead. Paper is dead unless you transfer this energy into something that you believe in. It has no life. It's not just called dead presidents because it's got dead presidents' faces on it. It's because this paper is dead. The tree that it came from, the cotton that it came from is dead. It's been killed. This is 70% cotton. Many of us out here still picking cotton. This is 70% cotton. Many of us are still picking cotton. You thought you was done with that? You're still picking cotton. You know what the banks do the moment that they get your money? They get rid of it like hot potato. Oh, they gave us some money. Let's get this out. Let's loan it out. When you give them their money, when you give them your money, it is a debt to them. But then when they give it back to you as a loan, it now becomes an asset to them. The banks aren't even keeping your money. You have this imagery that the banks have your money stored in a vault somewhere. No, they don't. They digitize it. They only have to keep 1/10 of it and they multiply it. The banks, these crooked banks, are doing a better job of managing your money and resourcing your money than you are. And the way money works is it will be attracted to the entity or individual who is going to use it at the highest level. So if you are not using your money at the highest level, it will leave you over time because it will be attracted to whoever's going to be able to double it. It'll be attracted to whoever's able to get a 20% return. It will be attracted to whoever's being able to get a 12% return. It's not attracted to people who hoard it. If you got this fly partner, okay, whether man or woman, and over time, you kicking it, right? You going out, and then over time, you're like, oh, I'm a homebody, let's just stay in. No, I just want to be with you, right? And you just kicking it, you stop going out. What's going to happen if you were in the dating phase at that time? You ain't married yet. They're going to leave because money wants to be out in the world. It wants to be exchanged. It wants to travel. It wants to multiply. It wants to get around. But you're afraid to release it so that it can go do its good. Your money is supposed to work for you. Now, but most of you are working for it, okay? So the goal has to be to try to double our money. Now think about the talents, not just as money. Think of it as your life, your time, your talents, as in your gifts, and stop saving up for a rainy day. Stop saving up for someday, because someday is not a day of the week, okay? Someday is not a day of the week. You hear athletes say it all the time. You know, they talk about leaving it all on the court, right? Kobe, great example of somebody who left it all on the court. This is somebody who multiplied his talents. This is what Kobe meant for the culture, as he left it all on the court. You cannot put points on the board for the kingdom if you're always playing defense. You cannot put points on the board for the kingdom if you're always playing defense. Your emergency fund, that is your only defense that you need. And we're going to talk about that in just a second. Once your emergency fund is in place, it's go time. Nipsey said it, all money in. Don't wear the t-shirt, don't wear the hat, talking about all money in when all your money is out. You want all your money in the game, working for you. That's the only way it's going to multiply. You're not just trying to add money $1 by $1 to your account. You're trying to multiply money. It says, be ye fruitful and multiply. The only way for you to live eternally is by pouring your life energy, one form being money, into other ideas and ideals that will live beyond you. I'm going to repeat that. The only way for you to live eternally is by pouring your life energy, one form of that being your money, into other ideas or ideals that will live beyond you. Okay? So, that felt good. I enjoyed that. This is the first one, y'all. This is the first one. I've been studying this to bring this message to you. See, hallelujah. All right, cool. So I want to bring this down to earth. I call it bringing heaven down to earth. I want to make this applicable. This was not just to get you on some spiritual high. That is not what we're doing here. You can go to your other church service for that. You can go sing and praise there. That is not what this is for. We are trying to make spirituality practical. All right. So Jesus said that I might come that they may have life and have it more abundantly. Okay. And so we want to put this into practice because the truth will not set you free, y'all. Acting on the truth will set you free. The truth alone will not set you free. It's acting on the truth that will set you free. You can't just know the truth because if you say you know it, but you're not acting on it, then you don't really know it. If you say you know it, but you're not really acting on it, then you don't really know it and you don't really believe it. Okay. So how do we make this practical? So the first thing I need everybody to do, okay, I need you to go calculate your monthly household expenses. You can do that from the month of February, since February just ended, or you can track it for March. I need you to calculate your monthly household expenses down to the penny. Okay. Of course, there are things that fluctuate, like perhaps your car needed to get an oil change that month, et cetera, et cetera. But I'm talking about the core necessities. For me, my monthly living expenses, I'm a very simple guy, okay? My monthly expenses are $3,665.88. That's my mortgage, car insurance, health insurance, food, and my daughter's activities. That is my bare minimum. I need you to go calculate that to the penny, okay? That's step one. Step two is you're going to create an emergency fund in a small local bank or one that's distant, that does not have ATMs and branches on every corner, because those branches will try to grab you and have you spending that money, okay? You want to put it in a small bank that you don't have access to, that you don't have a debit card for, okay? And by creating your emergency fund, what you're going to do is based on your risk tolerance, based on your faith in yourself and your God. If you don't have faith in yourself, then your emergency fund is going to have to be 12 months. If you have faith in yourself, then your emergency and your God, then you only have to have a 3-month emergency fund, because you know that after 90 days, you're going to figure out how to get back up on your feet. So you determine how long your emergency fund will be. In fact, in chat, please let me know how many months of emergency fund do you need? Just be honest. There's no judgment, okay? There's no judgment. It's just the degree of your faith in yourself and your God at this moment in time, okay? So Dawn is doing 6. So Dawn would take 6 months and she would multiply it by her monthly expenses. So let's say her family's is $5,000. Dawn's emergency fund would be 6 times 5,000, which is 30. And she's going to go put that 30. That's going to be her focus right now. Put that 30 in this small bank that does not have ATMs and branches all over. Okay. That's step 2. So 1, we need to calculate the number, okay, our monthly expenses for our needs. And then we need to multiply that by the number of months we want in terms of our emergency fund, okay? From there, you're going to hide that money in that bank, okay? And then from there, once you've done that, that's it. Once you've done that, now you have your emergency fund. That is, if Armageddon happens and ish hits the fan, you are good, okay? Once you have that emergency fund in place, you want to keep 2 months of operating expenses, meaning your monthly expenses. So again, Dawn is, if hers is $5,000, she wants to keep $10,000. That's it. That's it in her checking account, right? So that she can pay her car note, she can pay her mortgage, she can pay her kids' schools, things of that nature. 2 months. And the only reason I do 2 months is because sometimes your debit cards expire and you want to make sure that there's still money in that account, okay? So I do 2 months. After that, after she's got to $40,000, then every single dollar beyond that, she needs to be investing. It needs to be out in the world, playing at a higher level. She needs to be taking educated risks, not just risking it all, Okay. She needs to be taking educated risk. That money should not be sitting in a savings account. If it is in a temporary sacred account. Okay. So let's say she wants to save up for a down payment on a multifamily property, right? And it's going to cost $50,000 for that down payment. That money will be savings, but it's not a savings account as in, oh, I'm earning interest. She's like, I don't care about the interest. All I'm doing is trying to get to this 50 so that I can go make a down payment on this asset. Then that 50 is going to be in the asset. Okay. Once you've established your emergency fund and your 2 months of operating expenses, then every single dollar that comes into your possession needs to be put out into the world and activated. It is useless if you do not use it. Okay? So are we clear on what we must do? Please type yes. Are we clear on what we must do? Are we confident in our ability to do it? Are we confident in our ability to do it? And are we committed to getting it done? All right. So we're going to end with this affirmation, and it's actually called a treatment, a mental wealth treatment, and it's just an affirmative prayer, and I'll explain what that means. Okay. So a treatment, a mental wealth treatment, is an affirmation or affirmative prayer that seeks to align our consciousness and attune our mind with the truth about who we are, whose we are, what we are, and why we are, and accept our divine inheritance as opposed to begging, beseeching, or trying to persuade God to give us that which is already ours. Okay? So there are two types of prayer, and you see Jesus demonstrate both these types of prayer in the New Testament. There are times to pray from a position of weakness, as Jesus did in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? He was on his knees, like in a state of begging at that moment in time. That was when his human consciousness was taking over at that moment in time. Okay. There are times to pray like that when you don't have the answers, when you're confused, you're in darkness, and you got to get down on your knees and just ask from like total humility. Okay. But most of our prayers should actually be coming from the affirmative, from a position of strength, as Christ did. When you look at all of his prayers within the New Testament outside of the time in the Garden of Gethsemane, he's praying from a place of power, a place of strength, a place of knowing, a place of truth. And that's where, and oftentimes he's standing. Oftentimes he's standing when he's praying like this. So there's times to get down on the knees and pray, right? When you should just are in darkness and pain and lack and uncertainty. But most of our prayers should be actually affirmative prayers. Okay. So this is our affirmative prayer for today. And then we'll use this for the next 3 weeks. I am a multiplier. Type that in. I am a multiplier. I am a multiplier. I was born to be fruitful and multiply. I subtract all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry from my mind. I unify any thoughts in my mind divided against themselves. I seek first the kingdom of God, knowing that everything I need and desire shall be added unto me. I'll repeat. I am a multiplier. I was born to be fruitful and multiply. I subtract all thoughts of fear, doubt, and worry from my mind. I unify any thoughts in my mind divided against themselves. I seek ye first the kingdom of God, knowing that everything I need and desire shall be added unto me. Ashe, amen, and so it is. All right? So, that is it, y'all. I feel good. I sense a lot of energy in the chats. I haven't been able to observe because I've been so here, but I hope that this space blessed you. It blessed me. I feel joyful. I'm so grateful to be being used in this way. I'm so excited about the teachings to come. I'm so excited and grateful for all of you who showed up on a whim. I just sent out an email and y'all are here in mass, and I just feel so good. I feel like there's been a void around the spirituality, around money, and my creator is leading me to fill that void. Of course, through the multifamily movement and the Freedom School. That is how I manifest. That is one way and one vehicle that I use to manifest physically here on earth. But I know that all of my success comes from the principles that I'm teaching you and the mindset that I'm teaching you through this space that is called the financial church. So go ahead and set your alarms, your timers for 4 o'clock Eastern Standard Time next Sunday. Next Sunday, we will be going over how to mind your own business. I'm going to talk about one thing that's really blocking us all from stepping into the abundance that we desire. Then we're going to go into how to multiply money in week 3. And then in week 4, we're going to talk about receive so that you can give. A lot of people talk about give and receive, but if you're not receiving, then it's going to be impossible to continue giving. So again, I hope that this blessed you. If you're watching this on any social media platform right now, I just encourage you to share, the truth. If the truth sets you free, then please set the truth free. So if the truth sets you free, then please set the truth free by sharing it. Okay. By sharing it, text other people the link www.thefinancialchurch.com. Once you sign up for that, you'll be signed up for all the ones coming up. For those of you on Instagram or on Facebook, again, go to www.thefinancialchurch.com to sign up for the next 3 weeks. As I said before, I'm going to be leading this series for this 4 weeks. And then throughout that time, I'll be asking my creator, my God, what it wants me to do with this. And I'll let you know if it's like keep going, then I'm gonna keep going. If it's like pause, and then I'll pause. So for 4 weeks, we are together and we'll see what happens from there. This is new for me. It feels good. I'm excited to be expressing myself in this way. And I'm just so grateful that it blessed you all. All right. So we won't go as long next Sunday. Again, this was the first one, so I had to open it up in the right way. And I will put this recording on my YouTube channel. And for those of you who sign up at thefinancialchurch.com, I'll make sure that you get an email about that recording if there was some notes that you missed or you want to rewatch or you want to share. All right. So with that, I wish you all a happy Sunday. I hope this made you strong as you go into your week, and I will talk to you next week. All right. Much love, y'all. Peace.